Hi, my name is Wanda, and welcome to this podcast on Doodles and feminine energy. First of all, please excuse me for any pronunciation mistakes. I am from the Netherlands, so English is not my native tongue, as you can hear. Also, because I am far better in writing words than speaking them from the top of my head, I need to read out loud what I wrote, which I know sounds less authentic, but I will do my best and hope you will enjoy the message anyway. Okay, here goes. How do you put Doodles, transformational coaching and healing together to help build awareness around women empowerment? That's a rather unconventional concept for most people, so I will explain. I became a woman empowerment coach and healer because I always felt that women need help stepping in their greatness. 12 years ago, I thought that had to do with helping them become more confident and grow their self-leadership. But I have learned so much more since then. Women have been held down for ages by men. I can understand that you may have forgotten this, as I didn't have a clue for the biggest part of my life. But once, a long time ago, women were revered. We were considered holy by men for our power to create life, our sacred knowledge passed down from mother to daughter, our healing skills and intuition, and we were all living in direct connection with nature and the divine. There was peace and harmony, and the world was healthy. We only used what we needed for our own survival and healing, and nothing more. We respected and celebrated Mother Earth. When the patriarchy came, along with civilization, the church, and capitalism, our connection with nature was ripped apart. We were only allowed to believe in one God, whom we couldn't reach ourselves anymore, but had to pay others for to get access. Churches were built on sacred land, and women were forbidden to show their own divinity, power, magic, and especially their female sexuality. All of a sudden, instead of being natural and divine, we were sinful and wrong. From that time on, we had to abide by rules made by men, not allowed to speak our minds and good for two things only, caring for our husbands and breeding as many children as possible. We were made powerless, and were even hunted down because of our sacred knowledge, connection to Mother Earth, healing skills, use of magic, and especially our intuition. Our sexuality had to be hidden at all costs because the female body alone enticed men too much. And our wisdom and skills went underground because we weren't safe anymore. In the meantime, history was written by and about men, and society was created as it is now. If women had been allowed to use their powers in cooperation with men, life would be so different now. Like everything in nature is energy, and energy is balanced in yin and yang, female and male energy. The female and male energy need to be balanced to create harmony. Each has its strengths and weaknesses. Because our current society was built from a man's perspective out of male energy, which is all about intellect, money, competition, achievement, and the wrong kind of power, it has come to a point where we have all but ruined the very source that gave us life and is supposed to keep giving us life. Women have been kept small for far too long, and the results are still showing. But we have come to the point of transition, the aquarius age, where the energy on Earth is changing to a higher frequency and forcing us to step into our light, causing everything that was created and built out of the wrong, read male intentions, to be revealed, which we see happening every day. The feminine energy is making a comeback, which we need because we can't create the change we need out of one-sided energy. As long as women themselves do not see this, however, and do not remember how powerful they are, the feminine energy can't take back its rightful place. So it needs to start with us. That's why I am a woman empowerment coach and healer. Men have been empowered all along, but out of the wrong energy, so men are prompted to awaken their feminine energy as well. Because without the ability to feel and the heart-soul connection, we can't ever make wise decisions for our own good, let alone for the good of all. My journey with Doodles has been a difficult one, to say the least. When I was prompted by a force outside of myself, which I can only regard as divine intervention looking back, to set up Doodle Comfort 12 years ago. Even though I was the first ever business in the world to teach owners how to do-it-yourself groom their doodle, I knew that it was never about the coat care alone. It was about empowering women through their doodles. I just didn't have the whole picture yet and needed to live through some major growing experiences first. Working with Doodles made me open my heart again, and with every training I did, every healer and coach that I saw, I walked the path of personal and spiritual development. And ever so slowly I started to remember my true, highly sensitive, highly conscious, gifted self. But all that soul-searching went along with years of self-sabotage, because dog grooming was never my biggest passion. It came easy and natural to me because I was raised by a groomer and apparently had inherited her talent, and I loved being able to transform a scruffy doodle into a lovely fluffy one again, but my true passion lay elsewhere. I wanted to be a life coach, which I had also studied for, from the start, but felt I wasn't ready to be one yet, which was very annoying and frustrating. Spiritual growth and awareness takes a lot of time, especially when, as a baby, you decided to close off your feelings and emotions, your heart, and with that unknowingly also your intuition and gifts, because you couldn't deal with the hardness and demands of life. And because of that, you started to live a life that didn't suit you. In hindsight, I can see that working with doodles in a profession that I used to despise, because as a kid growing up with my mom, who could relate better to dogs than to people, I felt like dogs were more important than I was, and that my mom loved her dogs more than she loved me. It was the only way for the divine to get me back on track to remembering my true self, a kind of tough love for the highest good of all, I guess. I can also see that having this experience, along with my gifts of connecting dots that other people would never connect, seeing the bigger picture and speaking my inner truth, was a bridge to now being able to use the doodles as a mirror for self-healing and self-leadership of their female owners, and possibly a mirror for their male owners in terms of connecting with their feminine energy again. But this is uncharted territory, so I have been hesitant to speak out, as long as that bigger picture wasn't perfectly clear to myself yet. I once opened my do-it-yourself doodle grooming Facebook group to be able to help doodle owners internationally learn the do-it-yourself grooming trade. Doodle owners here in the Netherlands were eager to learn this, and there wasn't any information on doodle grooming on the internet yet, so I guess doodle owners abroad would feel the same way. I wanted my online trainings that I had created especially to help a big number of people, while also allowing me to make a passive income. I seemed to have the knowledge and skills that people wanted to have, so it seemed like a good business opportunity, meeting the needs of a growing niche market that I had created myself. Because instead of being a groomer, earning my money with daily groomings, my do-it-yourself doodle grooming workshops were my only source of income. I didn't regard myself as a groomer. I was a transformation coach with a whole different intention, but it turned out very differently. Because as people started to flock to the Facebook group, they all seemed to want to learn the trade for free, thinking that they could learn it by watching YouTube videos, etc. This frustrated me because I had put up a whole website in English, had made videos in English, spending a lot of money on both, on a vision that wasn't about to come true. And worse, the bigger the group became, the harder it became for me to reach everyone with my posts. And business in the Netherlands didn't really flow either, because I just didn't have enough passion for superficial, in my eye, grooming to blog continuously and get continuous income. I tried social media, but I'm just not cut out for that. So the frustration and anger grew. Fast forward to now. After a whole lot of soul searching and considering whether I should quit the Facebook group or not, and with it quit my vision of helping doodle owners internationally, I have concluded that nothing happens in vain, and with my inner knowing that everything is connected, I have to believe that doodle comfort still has an important role to play, albeit differently than I had expected. I believe that because there are no coincidences in the universe, and that how you do one thing, you do everything. That's a title from a book I once read. And that simplicity is key when it comes to universal truth. That doodles are here for a higher reason. It can't be a coincidence that they started to become popular around the time the transition started to bring back the feminine energy. I also think that like attracts like, and that doodles are highly sensitive, more so in my experience than other dogs. So this should mean that the women who own them are HSP as well. I also believe that although 1 in 5 people is HSP, a lot of women are not aware of this. They're still so stuck inside their heads that they aren't able to feel yet, and thus they are not connected to their own divinity and intuition yet. And this is where your doodle comes in. No matter if your doodle is male or female, to me they both represent feminine energy. With their soft, attractive, cuddly, plush coat, they just beg you to pet them. And because your heart energy runs through your arms and hands, that's the most obvious way in which they care for us. I always say that because they look like living teddy bears, they appeal to our inner child, which is the part in us that most of us have forgotten or neglected, and it has a huge influence on our misbehavior, read limiting beliefs, and the energy we emanate. That's one. And because most doodles get tangled far too easily and nobody really knows the right knowledge and skills to prevent that, this is the perfect grooming tool to connect with your doodle in a way you have never connected to anyone ever before. Then there's their sensitivity, which is a mirror for your own blocked sensitivity. I suspect that all people are innately HSP. But because we have lost touch with that part of ourselves and with nature because of that, we can't really sense anymore what our current lifestyle and current society is inflicting upon us. I have experienced that most doodles are insecure because they are highly sensitive. And they experience the world in a whole different way, in energy frequencies. Therefore, they react differently to noises, especially loud ones, differently to crowds and crowded spaces, and differently to new situations, peoples, places, etc. They are easily overstimulated and experience the world as unsafe. If you put me in a city full of traffic or in a large crowd of people, I don't know, I get overstimulated too. And so should you. But because you are not able to feel anymore, because you're only living from the crowded space of your head, you can't sense what all the overstimulation is doing to you. I have experienced my own unsafeness a while ago when I went to a therapist in bodywork. Working with her made me realize that whenever I got a massage in the past, I used to gift myself with monthly massages once upon a time, long ago. Even though I absolutely love a massage and it can't be long enough in my book, I could never fully relax during one. And once I started to kind of relax, the treatment was almost done. Lying on the table with the therapist, I had to sense what was happening in my body while she was standing in a spot far away from the table I was on and was coming nearer. This opened my eyes to my own not feeling safe, because even though she was still far from close, every step she took nearer made me feel more tense. I didn't do a lot of sessions with her because progress went slowly, and for me the realization that not only I but every woman on earth possibly feels this unsafe was a big eye-opener. Because my inner knowing tells me that every woman is insecure because of everything we went through in the past, literally having to fear for our lives. It's still ingrained in our cell memory. And doodles are so sensitive that they take over our energy. So if your doodle is very cautious outside, chances are that you are feeling as unsafe as he is, but you have blocked that to be able to function. This sensitivity also relates to how they process food. It's no secret that most doodles have intestinal problems, leading to allergies, skin problems, or even behavioral problems. This is because their sensitivity makes their intestines digest unnatural food problematically. Their bodies and insides are still so pure that they can't handle artificial stuff, food, skin products, medicines, etc., much like babies can't. But we ignore that and keep feeding them artificial milk and other non-natural foods, ruining their health from early on. And much like we are supposed to. But here again, we have not been in touch with our feelings and senses, so society has been feeding us with stuff that's bad for our health without us sensing it. There's so much more to tell, and I will leave that for next time. But now you know where I'm coming from and what my intentions are. If we start looking at our doodles in a different way and use them to be our guides for healing, their popularity can help heal the world. Everything in me says that this is true, but you need to examine it for yourself. If your first reaction is to neglect everything I say and regard it as bullshit, or BS, you're missing a chance for healing, and you should ask yourself what it is you're resisting. because there are a lot of limiting beliefs there. But I feel certain that if you own a doodle, some of this will touch one or more nerves in you. Because if you were still living fully from your head, you would probably have chosen a pit bull terrier or similar breed as your pet. The fact that you have opened your home to a doodle says a lot about your true self. Embrace that and use it for good. See you next time and enjoy your doodle comfortable life. Bye!